your bottom over here. Good, 1.5 feet your bottom over here.
He'll have to really go into 3.
My father's father had 2 brothers and a sister. His older sister, Hazel, had married a man named Jim Yunker, and he was involved in the bottling business early on, as early as 1906 in Indianapolis, and he sold flavors. He would have had grape, cream soda, blood orange, ginger ale. In 1915, he got the franchise for Coca-Cola in Indianapolis. So then we fast forward 20 years later to 1935, Jim Yunker approached my grandfather and his 2 brothers and said the franchises in Kokomo, Logansport, and Peru are available for sale, and you guys want this. Trust me, you want to get in the Coca-Cola business.
It's only been a few weeks for the drivers of the Indy Elite Series since they closed out their 2019 12-race long season. It's now time to begin 2020 with a bang with the new Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. My name is Kyle Howard, joined tonight by Finian DeCuna for the beginning of a new venture and a new partnership with the Coca-Cola bottling plant of Kokomo, Indiana. And welcome again to Sim TV for the first of 12 races this season. Finian, we've been working with these guys for a couple months now, and they've been putting on some of the best racing on the network, some of the best open wheel racing that we've seen ever here on Sim TV. But a new partnership, a new sleek white and red look for Sim TV for these broadcasts. Looking forward into 2020, Finian. There's so much to look forward to, and we're kicking off now with the Triptacular Memories Triple Crown, the first event of the season here from Homestead.
Yeah, really excited to be with these guys yet again. It was a fantastic 12-week season they had last time around. And we're here for another 12-week season that'll end in Indianapolis in the month of May, which is no better place to have Indianapolis.
Qualifying is underway right now. Let's take a quick look at our track map here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Again, 1.5 miles around here. Progressive banking, 18 degrees on the bottom and 21 degrees up towards the wall. So an oval-shaped speedway here. It wasn't always this shape, but it is now. And the banking here lends to some pretty quick racing, especially towards the middle to high grooves of this racetrack. Down in turns 1 and 2, going to kind of be aiming for the bottom a little bit more than you would in 3 and 4. 3 and 4 seems like you're a little bit better off in the middle of the racetrack here, Finian. But your thoughts on Homestead-Miami Speedway and the Dallara IR18 IndyCar?
Oh, honestly, it puts on some of the best racing on the oval side of IndyCar, I think, in my opinion, on the Speedway side. That especially now that Homestead has the night version available, with the night, the cooler temperatures, these guys are able to race a lot more side by side than they would be out in the hot Florida sun. So we are in for some pretty good racing. The Fuel IndyCar series, when they were here for Homestead, they had a fantastic race. I think we're pretty much going to see something very similar to that finish.
Qualifying is underway. Most of the field has already laid down a qualifying effort in the first 9 minutes of this session, but about a minute and a half left. It's Chris Cahoe at the top of the board in the 57, Bradley Walters in the 56, Henry Bennett, David Adams, Simon Bryant all in the top 5. Looking at Scott Corbin in the 54 again. This has been one of the most competitive series ever. I mean, we saw Adam Blocker win a whole bunch of races last season, but it wasn't easy, and we had a whole bunch. I think we had 8 winners in 12 races, so a lot of diversity at the front of the field. A lot of new names and new faces here as well. Some of the drivers competed in the Elite Road to Indy series that happened over the winter, and they're back here and ready to go racing for another season that's about half and half oval versus road. And Finian, I love oval racing these cars. I love road racing these cars, and they have been some of the most fun to watch the past couple months.
Yeah, and qualifying wrapping up here. 1 minute to go for these guys to put down a time.
And Spark VR car, Dan Lee Ench in the number 52. Remember how good Spark VR was at the larger ovals last season? I expect them to be putting on one heck of a show here tonight as well. Dan Lee Ench right now only 35th best. We'll see if he can make the show. We also want to thank Triptacular Memories. They are the Triple Crown sponsor. And, of course, what they are is basically a Disney vacation planning company. So if you're interested in taking a vacation down to Disney, you should make sure you check out Triptacular Memories, because everyone knows that they'd much rather be in Disney than in Rochester, New York right now. So clearly this is a good time to get away before the snows really set in February and March, so make sure you check them out. We also want to thank Coca-Cola of Kokomo for coming on board sponsoring the season-long effort here in the Indy Elite Series. We've had some great partners in the past with MyLaps, but a new look and new partnerships for 2020. Very exciting times for sure. So qualifying is complete. Chris Cahoe, Bradley Walters on the front row here. Let's take a look at our track conditions here this evening. 78 degrees in the air, 78 on the racetrack, Finian. The sun is going down, the lights are coming on, and that means a high grip and intense racing here tonight.
Yeah, indeed, and actually a big thing. Brendan Lichtenberger qualifying back in 35th.
Yeah, that's not really where he wanted to qualify, that's for sure. Let's also take a look at our race analysis for tonight. 150 laps, 221.8 miles. This is not a long race by any stretch of the imagination here, Finian. 1 hour long if we were to go green from start to finish. We saw, I mean, even in the season finale, we only had one caution, all the way at the end back at Fontana a couple weeks ago. So, I think we've been really successful in having long green flag runs in these big oval races. Your expectations tonight? The first race of last season at Pocono was kind of messy. Do you think it'll look like the opener, or do you think it'll look like the finale from last season?
I think it'll look more like the finale. I think really the Pocono looks is the way it is because it's Pocono, which sounds like a really bad description, but I think it's probably the best way to put it. I don't know what it is about Pocono, but it does tend to be a little bit crash heavy in some series. Pretty much most series, honestly. A lot of yellow flags in IndyCar racing, but I think these guys, it should be pretty clean and green tonight. Might see a few cautions, especially with some new faces out on the grid. Some guys just not used to racing others. By the end of the season, obviously, most people know who they're racing with, and it's a lot of green. But we'll have to see. I think these guys should be pretty green tonight.
Once again, before we roll through our starting lineup, we want to thank the Coca-Cola company. I gotta get used to saying that. That's a mouthful, isn't it? The Coca-Cola bottling plant of Kokomo, Indiana. They're also simulcasting this stream on their Facebook page, so make sure you check them out, and also our Facebook page. Link to that is in the video description. We've also just recently launched the SimTV memberships program, so if you're interested in getting exclusive emojis, behind-the-scenes content, merchandise discounts, and more, make sure you check out that blue join button right next to the subscribe button. Hit both of those things and check out the options we have available for you. Thank you for all of your all of your support as we head into 2020. Let's roll through our starting grid here tonight, Finney. And on the front row, Chris Coe in the number 57 from Indiana rolls off on pole. Bradley Walters in the 56 in second.
And then moving on back to row number 2, we got Henry Bennett, who was trying to chase his teammate down for the championship last season. It's a whole new season and a whole other shot to get the championship outside of him. David Adams in the 00.
In 5th place, Simon Bryant, the number 22, and Joe Flanagan, a good qualifying effort for the 53. He rolls off on the outside of row 3 tonight.
Back in behind them, Riley Thompson is going to be starting on the inside lane in the 58. Outside of him in the 76, Andres Ike in 8th.
In row number 5 on the inside, in 9th place, it's going to be Tim Doyle in the number 11, a past winner in the Indy Elite Series. Joe Branch in the 28 rolls off 10th. And that 28, we got to talk about him for a second, Finney. The gorgeous Coca-Cola livery he's got on this car, or at least it's supposed to be a Coca-Cola livery. Didn't seem like my trading paints were fresh. I'll try to get that sorted out. But that is a beautiful looking race car. Hopefully we can show it to you a little bit later tonight. But rolling through turns 3 and 4 already, about to turn them loose for 150 laps. This is a pretty short race, not a lot of time to get everything together. Going to be an exciting one this evening. Thank you again for joining us here on Sim TV. It's time to go racing from Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 2020 Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series is green. Lap 1 complete already. Chris Coe on the inside lane in the 57, trying to keep Henry Bennett from grabbing the lead. He's going to jump to the high side in turn 1. Looking 3 wide behind him. That's the 2 Sadie Sim Autosport cars, Bradley Walters and David Adams in the 00.
Yeah, and even there's just 3 of those Sadie guys in behind. They had pretty bad luck towards the end of last season. Here they are, 3 of them in the top 5.
Going to be aggressive up front early while people try to figure out what they've got for the race tonight. Look at Walters popping out of line. Bennett's going to follow suit like a formation flight into turn 1. 3 wide for the lead for a moment, but the 007 pulls back to the bottom and tries to cross over the 57 on corner exit.
Yeah, really, you're going to definitely want to get to the inside lane to make a pass. The outside, not so much. It's definitely usable, but definitely I think to make a pass that inside lane going to be key, and you can see that the leader, Chris Coe, is going to defend that with his life.
33 cars strong, the 3 drivers that did not qualify for this event. Brendan Lichtenberg, Christian Otarola in the 81, and Gabriel Perez in the 8. They did not qualify for the first race of the season. For Lichtenberg, that's going to be a big hit. But Coe still on the bottom of the racetrack. No one's been able to wrestle the lead away. The Sadie Sim Autosport cars, those are those blue cars in the outside lane, looking really strong so far. And we saw teammate alliances be incredibly successful last season, especially with the Spark VR teammates. So I would expect the Sadie cars to do really well if they keep this strategy rolling.
Everyone's starting to double file up after the start. We got a massive pack of cars, I think 20 strong at the moment, forming all the way back through the field. And everyone's double and even triple wide at some points.
Philip Kraus in the number 19. That's a new driver in one of the Spark VR machines. Kind of a minty blue on that car, looking really good as he sits 11th right now after starting at 11th. So not much progress for him, but up for the lead, Bradley Walters attacking that 57 from the outside lane.
Yeah, he's trying to do the best that he can. He's got his teammate, the 00, David Adams, right in behind him trying to help. We also got the blue and orange cars, Joe Flanagan, the 53 on the inside, lining up in behind Henry Bennett.
And Andreas Ike in the 76 had some pangs and flashes of greatness last season, but really wasn't able to get it done to the extent that he would like to. But sitting 4th right now, climbing forward very quickly. He started let's see here, what did he start? Back in 8th place up to 4th, so a good climb forward so far.
An even better climb forward is Chris Stouffer up from 17th all the way to 9th.
Yeah, Chris Stouffer started off last season flying at Pocono, ended up getting involved in a wreck, and he has been so fast, but it just has not had the luck he needed to get the job done, so he's hoping things turn around for him this time. How much grip is out there, Finney? Are you feeling good right now? You feeling confident in your race car, or are you a bit concerned? Oh no, out of the lead!
Oh no!
Car spinning. It's Bradley Walters in the 56 all the way to the back of the field. And big damage on that car as well, and that's going to be the end of the night for him. We stay green, but I was about to ask you, Finian, how much grip do you have, but it looks like he got on the apron, and that's what spun him out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Speaking of grip, after a while, these cars are going to start to get a little bit tight coming off of these corners the way that they're running. It shouldn't be you should be able to do this for about another 5 to 10 laps. Then these cars are going to really start to get tight, then we're going to start to see them slowly separate out like we usually do.
Adam Blocker in the number 1. He is your reigning champion, and he actually wrapped up the championship a week before the season finale, and actually really, in all seriousness, he probably had it locked up longer than that, but he was so good last season and sits 7th right now. Look at the mad scramble. There's race cars all over the place. Now David Adams swings to the outside. They've lost one of their teammates, but Bryant coming to fill the shoes of the 56.
David Adams working to the outside of Chris Cahoon. I still don't think that outside is quite viable for anything just yet, but maybe trying to build up a run. But Chris doing a great job defending the inside lane. No one's able to overtake him so far.
Do you think it'll be a viable lane later in the race, or will that be the preferred lane? I mean, what's the thought process, and how much will that outside lane come in over the course of the event?
I honestly don't really think it will at any point. It might, depending on really how these guys have their cars set up. I think if, for the guy on the inside, he can pinch, the outside driver can pinch the inside driver down, he might have something, but other than that, I don't think there's really going to be much of a shot.
So a little bit more calmness kind of extruding itself here from throughout the field. Philip Krause in the number 19, that's the lead Spark VR machine. Ray Kingsbury in the 25 is the second Spark VR car right now. And Kingsbury got himself into trouble quite a bit last season in getting involved in wrecks. But right now in 9th and a good calm start. You see Flanagan kind of dropping back a touch. Dakota DiCienzo, this is a gorgeous looking race car. It always has been. This gold metallic OpenWheels.com lead gaming car. And he runs 13th after starting in 12th.
Yeah, did not have the best of luck last season, but this season's starting up pretty well for
him. Big bobble at the exit of turn 2. Tim Doyle on the inside. He's bringing A.J. Burton with him. And A.J. had a spectacular run at Fontana in the season finale in 2019. Off to a bit of a slow start here, back in 15th place, but no doubt he'll be a competitor by the end of this race. Meanwhile, for the lead, Cahoe so far has led all 14 laps, but David Adams, and look at Chris Stouffer getting into the picture now to 3rd place.
Yeah, and defending champion Adam Blocker teammates with Stouffer, both of them are up there, so those cars really dialed in at the moment, able to navigate through the field up to the front. Unfortunately, now I think they're going to struggle quite a bit getting that lead. Again,
we've seen, like I mentioned earlier, we see the team alliances be incredibly important. We didn't really see the Adrenaline Motorsports guys take it to the extent that Spark VR did. But so far, look at them running in the very similar lines right now, kind of working together just a touch. And now on the backstretch, a little bit of splitting as the 00 goes to the high side. Maybe use a little bit of draft to get around him. But no dice. Outside lane still not good enough to make the pass. Look at Stouffer up the middle, 3 wide into turn 1. On the outside of the 57, can he get a good enough run here? He's going to pull even with Cahoe down the back straightaway, but he can't quite nose ahead just yet.
Yeah, and this is really what we're going to see. I'm curious if we can see Stouffer. He's probably got one of the best cars in this field at the moment, so we'll see if he can try to get a slingshot going around the outside lane. There's him with the run down the front straightaway.
Running on board, looking out the rear wing of the 13. Open setups in this series, Vinny, and that lets you adjust on these race cars. Add more wicker to the nose, in practice if you feel like you need. Some balance changes, but that change, we see that one of the Spark VR cars get in the fence. That was Simon Bryant, got in the wall on the entrance to turn 3. So what can you do to these cars over the course of the race? Weight jacker, are you messing with that? Are you messing with tire pressures? What's your call? How do you adjust over the course of a race?
Yeah, definitely the easiest thing you can adjust is the weight jacker. The car is feeling a little bit too tight, a little bit too loose. You can adjust the weight distribution of these cars to try to get the handling to your liking down the back straightaway. Cahoe doing a little bit of blocking on Stouffer as he's still trying to build up a run.
We've only lost one car so far. It's Bradley Walters. He's retired for the night. Everyone else still rolling and running. 32 cars still out on the racetrack. Lap number 19. And Cahoe again pulls to the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Here comes Kingsbury in that blue and white Spark VR 25 car up to 3rd place. Now to 2nd. Spin out of turn 2. Andreas Ike hard in the inside wall in the back straightaway.
Still no caution.
Oh, another one.
Run straight. Oh, Charles Ante in the 26. He goes spinning off of 2 as well.
2 cars in the fence hard at the exit of turn 2. Let's go back and see what happened to Andreas Ike. Was having such a promising run, and I think he just gets loose here. But let's look from up above, see if there was anything else that maybe led to this. He's got Joe Flanagan in behind him. And looks like he's just going to get loose here, Finian. So not quite enough aero in that race car to prevent the same. And the same thing exactly for the 26. Almost a mirror image.
Yeah, I'm noticing I'm going through the field at the moment, and some other guys also still struggling with some loose conditions, particularly off the turn 2.
Ray Kingsbury to the lead in the 25 car. Gets ahead of Cahoe, the first driver to not be... Oh, another car spinning. It's the 58 car, Riley Thompson, trying to lock down the brakes. He saves it, keeps it off the fence, but will lose a ton of track position. Turn 2 becoming a very treacherous place right now, Finian. How worried are you if you're in the middle of this pack?
Definitely very worried, and I'll be starting to play with the weight jacker prematurely, trying to tighten up this car just a little bit. Not enough to make to the point where you're not able to make the corner, but enough to just get these cars stabilized out, because they're starting to see it be a big problem for some of these guys.
Whoa, look at the one car, Adam Blocker, getting right up under the gearbox of the 57. That was a bit of a tense moment there. You see drivers starting to kind of get up a little bit higher off the corner exit. I don't know if that's being more comfortable, being able to unwind the wheel, or if that's just by the drivers getting a little bit tight. Joe Branch in the 28 up to 3rd place now. And Adam Blocker all over the 57, looks to the bottom. Cahoe's going to keep him tight, but he'll let him go by on the entrance to turn 3.
Yeah, Blocker took the run to the inside. You see him wash up all the way through the hill, and there you see Cahoe looking back down to the inside of the one-off. Blocker barely able to get a wing in there. Good to be on the inside turn 1.
And Cahoe's going to re-clear Blocker. Blocker's going to cross over again on the exit of turn 2. There's a reason why he's your reigning champion, and he's driving like it right now into turn 3. Again, going to go for the top spot. Kingsbury fell to 4th after leading for a short time. Tim Doyle up to 5th. He's looking for 4th now on the 25. And the Sadie cars have dropped all the way back to 9th and 10th, Brian and Adam, so they have lost some pace over the course of this run. 26 laps in here, Finian. Thinking about pit stops, when you're going to make it, how are you going to break this race up?
Yeah, fuel window is looking to be about 36 to 40 laps. It kind of depends on really how hard these guys have been running. If you keep the car in 6th gear and been just modulating with the throttle, you could probably go all the way to around 40 laps, but 36 is really where I think we're going to start to see guys coming in.
Go back to the bottom. And look at Christopher winding up on the outside lane, trying to build a run on the 11 at Tim Doyle. Riding on board here, 24 miles an hour off into the corner here, and gonna roll the outside again in turn 4. Oh, another car slow. Liam Quinn. Oh, damage for the 44 here, Finian, as well.
Yeah, and starting to lose a lot more drivers. Is unfortunate for Quinn. Strong car last season. Unfortunately, he's gonna have to be in the pit early on.
Another car in front of him also lost it. Trying to see who that was in front of him. Logan Simmons in the 75, yeah. So he's also got big damage on his car. And that looks pretty irreparable, Finney. That car is pretty destroyed. So I'm getting real concerned about the longevity of these race cars in the exit at turn 2, how slippery it seems like it's getting. And look at everybody, look at the scramble for the lead. Joe Branch is up here running in 2nd. Tim Doyle in the 11, getting wild up at the front.
Yeah, definitely starting to get wild, but also starting to calm down a little bit. I think guys are just going to try to make it to the end of the fuel run until they can get some new tires on these cars.
Andrew Wood in the 32, Finney, and heartbreak last season too many times for him. Trying to turn things around this season and starting off relatively strong in 14th. He started in 15th, just trying to get to the end and maybe avoid the carnage that will probably happen at some point here tonight. We've seen a lot of single car incidents, but I'm sure we'll have at least one multi-car accident before the night's out. So Logan Simmons, Liam Quinn, Andreas Ike, Charles Ante, Bradley Walters all out of the race. Crashed out early. Blocker back to the bottom. So pit stops, your pit window's opening here relatively soon, Finney, and I mean, does it matter when you pit?
Well, I think here's the thing: you should be able to make it to the end on just 3 stops if you pit. Again, obviously, assuming the race goes green all the way. If you can make it to around lap 38, which is not completely out of the question. So I'm curious if guys will try to stretch it, but again, we're starting to see a little bit of a risk with these tires really falling off now.
Yeah, I'm so concerned about that, especially if I'm in the middle of the pack right now. Any of the Spark VR cars, they're kind of at risk of being involved in it. Kingsbury, Kraus in 6th and 7th. Adam Blocker. Look at Joe Branch. Excellent driving so far for him to get himself to lead. Blocker's going to go back to the bottom. Let's jump throughout the rest of the field here. Check back in on A.J. Burton in the 50 and Henry Bennett in the 007. Are we surprised that the Bennett machine has dropped back this far?
He's probably just taking it easy, I would assume. I guess, I mean, there's not a whole lot he needs to do up in the front. So I think he's just trying to run his own race, hit his fuel numbers, and then go from there.
Another car that's been pretty quiet tonight, didn't even see him in the field earlier, is Chad Simpson in the 42 here, Finian. I mean, is this intentional? You think he's just kind of taking his time and working his way through the field? Or, I mean, is there a pace concern with the 42 tonight?
I think there might be. It looks like he's kind of struggling with that car at the moment. We'll have to see. Again, still pretty long ways left to go in this race for him to recover.
And Tony Schowen as well, 25th to 20th. Again, we've seen him be incredibly competitive at these oval races, so would expect him to be running a little higher up. Joe Branch to the top spot again. Adam Blocker riding in second. And Tim Doyle and Stouffer duking it out for third.
The big thing we have to address, too, is that these guys, I'm pretty sure, I haven't heard otherwise, should be able to pit off of turn 4.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing you bring up here, Finn, because iRacing changed in the previous build. You used to have to use the access roads. Let's see if we can go up high and above. You see these access roads on the inside of the apron. That used to be a requirement to use to come into pit lane. iRacing changed that, and there was a lot of concern from the IndyCar community specifically about the transition onto, or off of rather, the banking onto the apron, and whether or not that would damage the underbody or the front or rear wing. So I guess be ginger about it getting off the racetrack, but I guess we're about to find out, huh?
Yeah, we're about to find out. The pit window is open. These guys are going to start running lower and lower on fuel.
Joe Flanagan in the background taking a look at Ray Kingsbury down into turn 1. No cautions so far. We've had a total of 8 lead changes all at the front. It's been Joe Branch out of... Oh, actually, there's a lot of drivers using the access road here, Finian. So looks like that's going to be the decision that everyone's going to make. And they're going to come on in. Now, I don't know if this was changed back to force you to use the access road, or if this is a league rule, or if this is just what everyone's doing, or if people don't know. It could be any one of those things. But they're going to come on in, and Chris Cahoe, who led a whole bunch of laps early, 22 to be exact, he's going to roll on in and take his first pit stop of the night.
Yeah, from the looks of it, looks like everyone's using the access road. I'd imagine it's probably league rule, which is, I think, a good thing for everyone on the track, because especially considering how loose these guys are, I can imagine transitioning from the banking to the apron.
How about Shannon Cottle in the 82? Bright yellow and red DHL-sponsored car. Here comes Ray Kingsbury. Whoa, that was real tight onto the apron in turn 3. That was almost a disaster there. But they got it woed down. They were racing to the apron, and they made it. Oh, big lockup. No! And they get collected. Joe Flanagan. Pitting. Yep. And they're going to block pit lane here as Schowen, I believe that's Schowen coming on through, and one of the other Spark cars. But that was a whole mess there for a moment. Yeah, they kind of locked up all in their own separate accord. I mean, I'm not really sure what was going on there, Finian, but...
Oh, we have another spin on the apron. Whoa,
oh, Brian
Carey's around.
Over the entrance. Oh, caution is out for that one. Caution is flown in the middle of a pit cycle, too. Oh, that's going to be chaos. Now he's going to spin out again, trying to get back to pit lane. This is just a whole mess.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, there's a bunch of dirt on his tires that's not doing him any favors.
In the middle of a pit cycle, Finian. Not going to be great for a lot of the drivers that were up front earlier. Let's go back and take a look at how Brian Carey lost this. I'm going to assume this was just a getting on the apron situation. Who's the driver again? I lost him on my screen here.
Brian Carey?
Brian Carey. Where? Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, it just looks like ran a little bit wide and just got the grass with the right rear tire and just a long, slow slide, and that was all it took to trigger the caution. So out early here, lap 42. And Philip Kraus is currently your leader, and taking a look, he has not yet come to pit lane. Oh, he just came to pit lane just now. So everyone is on pit lane except for Carey, who will come down under this caution. So maybe this isn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, as everyone gets resorted.
Well, a lot of our front runners, like Chris Cahoon, Flanagan, a lot of those guys are going to be further on back. Especially Cahoon, who's led, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, has led the most laps so far.
I'm disappointed, Vinny. My trading paints isn't helping me out with Branch's paint scheme, unfortunately, tonight. I know that you can see it. I can't see it, though, which is a real shame. So, we've had a bit of a lead change. So, Kraus is currently your leader. Dakota DiCienzo in the 43 rides second. We also have to thank Dakota for setting up a very extensive Google Doc that has all sorts of information relating to the drivers and teams here in the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series. So we want to thank Dakota for putting in that time over the off-season to set that up for us. There's a lot going on. I mean, a lot of broadcast groups have multiple people that, there's one guy that runs the cameras, one guy that is the lead commentator, there's a co-commentator, then there's a whole other guy doing stats. Well, we're just two people, and I'm running the streams doing the cameras and lead commentating, and Finian's over there doing all the stats and co-commentating. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes here. All right, so we got some people updating us. League rule. So the apron in turn 3 and 4. You can pit off of 4 under yellow.
I see. Okay.
Which I like that. So so appreciate the chat for filling us in there. So 44 laps in here as we had our first issue of the night out of turn 4 for a crash car on the apron. Want to remind you that if you have not checked out the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Kokomo Facebook page, you should check that out, as well as our social links you can find in the description, as well as our membership program to get behind the scenes content, merchandise discounts, and special emojis you can use in chat, like our crew people, us.
Me.
So you can check those out. Of course, there's also the 4X emoji, our logo, and more. So if you want to check out, all you have to do to get the emojis is 99 cents a month. 99 cents a month commitment. The other 2 levels are have all sorts of other perks that go with them, but make sure you check those out. So, I don't think we're going to see anybody pit. It looks like everyone's just going to line back up for the restart here. We're going to have a couple wave rounds, I'd imagine.
Yeah, a lot of guys taking wave rounds. Henry Bennett, Stouffer, Downing, Showen, Kahoo, just to name a few going around the track.
So, restarts. Topic of discussion. They have been, I would call, a challenge. Last season, we had a lot of stack-ups on restarts. Your thoughts, how not to get yourself in trouble on one of these restarts here?
Honestly, just don't play into the everyone kind of closing back in. That's really when a lot of the accidents start happening. Everyone's closing back up, and then some guys who are in the back and they might think the leader's going, they're just going to step it on the gas and not realize everyone's still, the green's still not out yet. Because they think that the leader is going. So it's really just a matter of knowing where the leading car is and just trying to keep an eye on him. And just also leaving yourself a little bit of space to the car in front of you, just in case he hits the brakes and so that you have enough time to slow down.
Yeah, so really it's an accordion effect issue that has been the troublesome part in the past. And rolling out of turn 4, our first restart at lap number 46, almost a third of the way through. It's going by quickly here. Here we go. Pace cars off. Lap number 46, Philip Kraus in the Spark VR18 fires back up. Green flag back in the air here at Homestead. Bit of a stack up towards the middle of the field there, fitting around Henry Bennett and the 47 of Rob Powers. One of the Sadie cars is real slow. And 3 wide off into turn 1. Your pole sitter's in the middle of that mess, but otherwise fairly clean restart.
Yeah, it looks like Rob Powers had trouble getting going. That separated out pretty much the top 9 cars from the rest of the field.
Dakota DiCienzo in the 43, a strong run to the outside lane, going for the lead down into turn 1. He's going to bring Adam Blocker with him on the high side. Chad Simpson up to 4th. That caution was a well-timed one for him. He's going to slot himself inside the top 5. And now a couple Spark VR cars lined to start on the bottom of the racetrack. Joe Branch going to follow in line there as well.
Yeah, we've seen these Spark VR guys are really good when it comes to dominating the field. They did done that in Michigan fairly successfully and at a few other tracks as well. So I think they're going to try to do the same thing here. Keep the strategy keep as many cars of their kind in the front.
Well, so now the question is, Philip Kraus is relatively new to this team. Look at Adam Blocker up the inside for second. What a move down into turn 3.
he's trying to ruin the party here for the Spark VR guys. Chad Simpson to his outside. Blocker looks like he's going to have the better run on the inside lane.
Lap number 49 closing in on the 1/3 mark of this race. Joe Branch and Dakota DiCienzo almost have it coming together off into one, but they'll continue without incident. Well, getting real dicey at the exit of 2. Look at Adam Blocker to the inside lane. Almost in the grass down the back straightaway.
He's going to wash up in front of Philip Kraus, and he's going to clear him, and Blocker is now going to be in the lead.
Great racing up at the front of the field here. Spark VR cars, Adrenaline Motorsports cars, and more. All in a battle for the lead here in the opening round of the 2020 Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's a scramble back for 10th place. This is where pretty much everyone else is stuck at the moment. They're around 3 seconds behind the leader.
You're getting pretty dicey. There's the 31 of Tony Shawan in there. The 14 of Andrew Kinsella, who had a pretty decent season last time around, but looking for a bit better this year. Getting real dicey. Look at Joe Branch into turn 3 to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to go to the top spot. Blocker slides the second. Kraus with a big run at the exit of 4. Got nowhere to go with it, though. AJ Burton's going to swing to the bottom of the racetrack for 3rd.
Yeah, how about Burton, too? Remember, started at the tail end of the field in 33rd, up into 4th, now into 2nd.
It's been an incredible drive forward for him. 33rd to 2nd. He was this good at Fontana as well in the 2019 season finale. All the way to the white line in turn 3. To the lead goes A.J. Burton out of turn 4.
Yeah, 33rd to 1st, and he officially leads the lap at the line right there. Fantastic job for him. Let's see how long he can stay up here.
And a gorgeous red livery on that car as well. It just absolutely shines in the daylight. The lights are on here at Homestead. Look at Blocker driving right up the inside lane. He'll go back to the top spot. The reigning champion trying to get a win early in this season. I'm seeing more and more Spark VR cars as the race goes on here. They got 3 of them now inside the top 10. And they're getting racier and racier. Jason Brophy in the 88 kind of tagged on to the end of this field as well. Remember, he actually raced in, I believe, in the Fuel IndyCar series last season and was fairly successful there on the ovals, and I would expect very similar results here, and he's driven himself up into 9th now.
And we'll see how much further he can go up. He's trying to get around Ray Kingsbury right up ahead of him.
Philip Kraus in 3rd place right now. Blocker and Branch continue to fight for the lead. And A.J. Burton slips back into 4th right in front of Dakota DiCienzo. Line of stern, nose to tail on the front straightaway. Blocker pops out of line again for turn 1.
And Burton also going to follow Blocker on through, or try to follow him on through on the inside lane. He's going to get past Kraus.
Yeah, kind of dead even here. And again, I'm starting to see that other lanes are opening up. I still think the bottom's the place to be, but the outside at least allows you to build a run, and that's what some of these drivers have been experimenting with. Not necessarily the old multi-groove Homestead like NASCAR would see, where you're kind of rim riding, but we're seeing a lot more creativity with lines as the race goes on and the track rubber's in.
Yeah, I think it's the rubbering in that's opened up a lot more opportunity for some of these drivers. The lead a lot harder to maintain now. And we've seen exchange quite a few hands as you see A.J. Burton go to the inside of Joe Branch.
All right, I almost don't want to dare leave this battle, but we're going to jump back mid-pack again. John Downing and Simon Bryant. And really, where have the Sadie cars gone, Finney? They were so competitive early. David Adams all the way back in 21st, so they've really dropped out towards the tail end of the grid. Riley Thompson, that caution was well-timed for him. He lost a lot of time with a spin out of turn 2 early in the race, but he's back up to 20th and fighting hard.
Yeah, he's trying to make up all that time he lost. I think that caution could really cut up the Sadie guys with that caution coming out mid-cycle. So I think that's what they've been struggling from. But one driver's also been struggling is Chris Cahuto. Back in 18th has not really made a lot of progress.
Yeah, remember, he led 22 laps early in the race, but since then has not had a taste of the lead. He's been stuck back here, mired around the 15. Oh, bit of a bobble there. Got into the side of, I believe that was Downing. And no damage, but, ooh, and you see the 20 a little bit sideways now into 3. No damage, but that was a real sketchy moment. Back up to the front. Blocker and Branch continue trading spots back and forth. They've been out on the racetrack now for 20 laps, and this is kind of where we started to see people struggle with grip at the exit of turn 2. Do you think it's going to be a concern later in the race with more rubber, or do you think it'll get better?
I think it'll be a little bit better. You know, obviously the track was fairly green once we started off in the night, and now more rubber has been built in. So, yeah, I think the track's only going to really get, I guess, better from here on these older conditions for these drivers. And also, of note too, that second pack starting to close in a lot more with Stouffer and Kinsella working together. Both of those drivers' teammates leapfrogging back and forth to catch these leaders.
Stouffer just needs some consistency. I think if you put him in a qualifying race against everyone else, I think he'd crush everybody every time. He's got so much pace, but doesn't seem to be able to keep it for very long, and that's a bit concerning in a race like this where we had long green flag runs. On a short run, I would put the 13 car up against anybody else in this field. So thinking back to last season, Finian, the season started at Pocono Raceway, and we had a lot of attrition there. Now, we've had a couple drivers crash out, and you know, about a half a dozen of them have bit the dust earlier tonight, but we have not seen the multi-car accidents that we saw at Pocono. That's going to drastically change how this season starts. I mean, you think back to Pocono, how many good drivers had a bad start to the season? If that changes tonight, this season could look a whole lot different than it did last time. Yeah,
indeed it can, especially, too, for a driver like Joe Branch. Branch didn't even make the grid at Pocono, just missed qualifying out, so he missed the first race of the season, and here he is now. He's taking the lead of this race, so he's looking at a really good start to his season here. Unfortunately, he's got to fight defending champion Block, who just goes to his inside in turn 3.
Tony Shawan still fighting with Simon Bryan in the 22, and Kahoo in the 57. Whoop, bit dicey out of turn 4, but he'll slot back in the outside groove. Lots of green flag running, and the only incidents we've really seen are on the exit of turn 2. Big bobble by Dakota DiCienzo and Ray Kingsbury. Going to take advantage of it off into 3. Let's go take a look at that replay. That was pretty wild. Woo! Jason Brophy. I would say Jason Brophy and Tim Doyle, both inside the top 10, and Doyle knocking on the door of 4th place on Philip Kraus.
Yeah, really, as you've been talking about these loose conditions, it's still, I think it's going to be better than it was earlier, but you're still going to want to be careful coming up these corners. Don't make any big adjustments with your wheel, and you got to make smooth and precise inputs, otherwise you're going to have hundreds of spinning like a lot of drivers did in each run.
That's what we saw just happen to DiCienzo. Maybe he had a little bit too much wheel cranked in it, got off the exit of the corner, and saved it. And that's not easy to do in these cars. They don't give you a whole lot of warning before they snap, and if you try to catch them, either you do catch it or you end up in the fence at 220 miles an hour. So DiCienzo did a good job, but he's middle 3 wide now as, whoa, Kinsella gets together with him on corner exit. Stouffer around the outside.
I don't know how they didn't crash there. Wow.
Hold on, we got to take a look at that. That was crazy as they came out of turn 4. Look at this. And Kinsella drifts up the racetrack, just gets into the front wing of DiCienzo. They'll carry on and continue, but a sketchy moment there for sure. Out of turn 4, closing on lap number 70, and 75 will be our halfway point. Joe Branch pops out of line again for turn number 1. Have we watched this race long enough to kind of get an idea of who's going to be competitive, Finian? Because it seemed like the drivers that were competitive in the first run really aren't here anymore.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them have been struggling in traffic. I really think at the moment it's Blocker, Branch, Doyle, and Barton. I think are really the top. Those top 4 is the guys we're going to keep an eye on. And even too, I think Stouffer and Kinsella, if they can get back to the front, I think there can be a threat. Especially Stouffer too. He's trying to track down guys up in 8th.
AJ Burton staying inside the top 5. Maybe he doesn't have quite the pace of those around him, but he's been remarkably consistent since he got here. 5 laps to halfway this time around. Tim Doyle up to 2nd place in the number 11, a past winner in the Indy Elite Series, and looking pretty strong here in the middle part of this race.
Blocker's starting to get tight on the inside lane, and he's going to back out. Tim Doyle's going to get past him. Tim Doyle down to the inside for the lead.
Yeah, great drive into turn 3, and he's going to go to the lead. And so far tonight, he has led no laps. He's going to change that and lead 1. And it's a lot of back and forth, a lot of slipstreaming, and a lot of kind of tag, you're it, and then they chase each other down again for another lap. So how frustrating is that for a driver like Joe Branch, who seems like he's been one of the fastest drivers lately, but has nowhere to really run away to?
Yeah, I think, I think that's kind of the thing you accept with IndyCar racing. You're only going to be able to hold the lead for a short second, because you can see he's just sitting ducked on the back straightaway, and Tim Doyle goes back around. If anything, I think he might be trying to use Tim Doyle to potentially break away from second and third. And he's starting to actually build a gap, both these drivers at first and second.
As the run goes on, you see it gets a little bit more difficult to pass, and the drivers spread out just a touch, but we're a lap from halfway here, Finney, and I think we've got a pretty good idea. Anybody in this top 5 could win this race, but there's drivers outside the top 5 right now. Ray Kingsbury, Chris Stouffer, Andrew Kinsella, Chad Simpson, all capable of getting it done tonight. They just need some more track position, and we're far from over yet. Oh, wow, look at Jason Brophy. Hard left elevator move top to bottom at the exit of the corner for third on Adam Blocker down into 1.
And Blocker going to drop down to 4th after this, unless he can try to get past Brophy. But Brophy looking a little bit stronger at the moment.
Now Brophy slots himself into 3rd, and Blocker doesn't fight it. He's going to tuck in line. Chris Stouffer on the bottom of Ray Kingsbury, and Stouffer had to fight back from a little bit deeper in the field on the restart here, and you see Kingsbury cross back over. Curious about the setups of these cars as well. If we ride on board the nose, taking a look at the wicker, that carbon fiber strip on the trailing edge of that lead wing, Stouffer looks like he's got about 2 stages of the 3. If we go up to Joe Branch, he's got all the wicker on the nose of that car. So different setups for different teams and different drivers here, Finian, but I'm not really sure what I would have rather had here. A little bit more straightaway speed or some more downforce?
You know, honestly, for me, I would prefer to have downforce, especially once the tires start to wear up. And I think really you see the guys with less downforce. If look at A.G. Burton, he's one of the guys with the least amount of downforce out of the top 10 drivers. He's only got, I think, 1 stage of wicker pretty much on the right side of the wing, and or the outer part of the wing. And he's all the way back in 6th after running up in the lead, so he's starting to struggle in the later part of this run.
So we're past halfway here in the first race of the season here at Homestead. You see Branch and Doyle now fighting. Blocker has slipped to 4th. Looks for 3rd, though, on the inside of the 88 car. And working our way towards the end of the event, Tim Doyle back to the bottom of the racetrack for turn 3, and this is the move he's been pulling over and over and over again. But I'd expect to see pit stops pretty soon here, Finney. We're 37 laps into this run. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see within the next 5 laps. I'd be surprised if these guys are going to try to go any further than that.
And again, under green flag conditions, the drivers are required to use the access road on the inside of turns 3 and 4. Under caution, they can come straight down to pit lane off the exit of turn 4. The reason why they can't do it under the green is because you'll damage the race car. So they've decided to make that a rule to use the old-fashioned access road as they had before the last iRacing build.
Stouffer currently, I've been keeping an eye on him this entire run, currently up into 6th, trying to hold off A.J. Burton. And actually, he's going to come into the pits, going to be one of the first takers down into pit road.
Let's see if anybody follows him, and I see Simon Bryant is already on pit lane. A couple other drivers towards the tail end of the field. Caleb Weekly in the 96. That's that GoDaddy car. That's a name I have not said in a really long time. The GoDaddy Indy car.
Oh yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen one of those around. Great looking livery, but he pulls back onto the racetrack 2 laps down in 26th. And another front runner, Chris Kahoo in the 57 is going to roll on down.
For most of the rest of our leaders to come on down when they're going to drop on by. Not a whole lot difference.
I mean, as a leader, right, I'm a bit concerned about coming in to... Oh, you see Joe Branch pull out of line right now. I'm concerned if I'm Joe Branch, because if a caution comes out now, he's in big trouble. So, I think right now it's probably the most likely time we'll have a yellow with how tricky it is to get onto and off of pit lane. A bit of a lockup for the 28 car. This is a tense moment for the 28. He's just going to hope it stays green until the end of this cycle.
Definitely want to try to, I think it's best to, like you said, pretty much to run the tank out as far as you can. And speaking of which, here comes Tim Doyle and Adam Blocker down.
Yeah, they're both going to come on down, so that leaves Jason Brophy and Philip Kraus out there on the racetrack. And is this will be a a one-stopper from here, rather. So when do you plan that final pit stop here, Finney? I mean, we were shooting for what, 120-ish? 115, maybe?
Yeah, around 115, 120. So pretty much along where they would be normally.
Jason Brophy coming on in from the lead, and he'll get woed down. And a very excruciatingly slow 50 miles an hour on pit lane, as opposed to over 220 when they're rolling. So Kraus, one of the last drivers out there. Chad Simpson, Rob Powers, and here comes Kraus, and I'm going to bet Simpson and Powers are probably also going to follow. Here they all come.
So the last few drivers making their stops, and we'll see where everyone lines back up as we complete.
Oh, Powers off in the dirt in turn 4. Way off to the inside, and through the gravel trap as well. Kind of a messy pit road entry for sure. He's going to lose a ton of time with that. And just got loose and kind of careened off to the inside of the access road. Come in and get fresh tires and fresh Firestones on that car and get back rolling, but he lost a ton of time. So Tim Doyle has Jason Brophy behind him, as Adam Blocker is a couple seconds back from there as well. Kraus is back rolling on the apron in turns 1 and 2, throttling back up as the leaders drive on by.
Joe Branch lost a lot of time on his pit stop.
Maybe slid through it. You see him right behind. Chris Stouffer battling him now, and even behind them, look at Kinsella flying by some cars leaving pit lane. That's Chad Simpson on the bottom of the racetrack, AJ Burton, and the 007 of Henry Bennett.
It's going to take a lap or two to get these tires up to temperature, and then finally on pace with everyone else. You can see Joe Branch getting by Philip Kraus. He's still trying to get up to speed. I'm really curious on how Stouffer, he has done a fantastic job on the last run of trailing down the leader. He's got to do a little bit more work now, as the leaders Blocker, Brophy, and Doyle are breaking away.
Yeah, Blocker had a really good run to get around Jason Brophy, but Brophy's not done. He's going to drop back down to the inside lane, closing in on 60 laps to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series is brought anew for 2020 with a new partnership, and it's been spectacular so far. We've had a total of 1 caution. We've had 24 lead changes. How about make it 25 as they come across the line there?
And the funny thing is, too, that's only lead changes across the line. If we were to add up every single pass for the lead, it would probably be almost in the hundreds or getting close by now.
I gotta say, this sticker with the Coca-Cola colors on it looks pretty cool. it's always been it's always been kind of a fantasy is to have the corporate sponsorship from Coca-Cola. Well, they've got a local Coca-Cola refresh plant, and cannot be more thrilled with the partnership, and having the Coke colors on this MTV stuff is always looking really good. So some more changes coming to this in the next couple weeks as well. But with that, 60 laps to go here for Jason Brophy as he leads, and he has led so far 2 laps, make it 3.
And for 4th place, it's absolute chaos. Guys lined up double file, everyone trying to get to the front of this pack.
Oh man, look at this mess. Branch, Burton, Stouffer, Kraus, Kingsbury. Wow, there's a whole lot of cars in this mix.
Yeah, it can go very wrong for all these drivers involved here, so they gotta play this carefully.
How about that battle for 4th here in the Indy Elite Series? On the front straightaway now. And look at the run Stouffer's got on Burton, going to drive to the inside for turn 1. Drive it in deep. Can he clear him? He does. He'll slide up, and look at Branch trying to close the gap.
Yeah, these guys want to start to try to leapfrog and pass one another using the slipstream to build up a run, because they're starting to fall back from the leaders.
And leapfrog they will. Stouffer gets passed again by Burton. Oh, Ray Kingsbury a bit tight out of turn 4. His teammate Kraus is going to drive around him, and that will be 7th spot exchanged. For the lead, Brophy, Blocker, Doyle, all in a mess. Is that a lap car in front of them?
That is
Adam Crane. And the Robert Wickens paint scheme here on the exit of turn 4, and that's kind of, Crane's going pretty good, and it's actually kind of gotten in the way of the leaders here a little bit. Let Brophy get some breathing room, about 0.2 of a second, if you could call that breathing room.
Yeah, and they actually, these guys, the leaders up ahead, they have a trail of lap cars up ahead of them. So this is going to get interesting real quick and seeing how they can get past the lap cars. They're all fighting up ahead.
56 laps to go this time by. And Blocker takes the lead back away, and he has led 23 laps tonight. Had a pretty even split between lap leaders as well. Down the back straight, line astern, Doyle to the lead for a moment. Blocker's going to go back for it in turn 3 and exchange it once more. And you mentioned that there's lap cars up ahead. That trio, Caleb Weekly, I believe that's Andrew Wood and Rob. No. Is that Weekly and who else?
Danley and Andrew Wood.
That's right. Okay. But deeper in the field, Frank Levick in the 77 Spark VR car. Haven't really seen a whole lot of him yet tonight. And John Downing, not the night he wanted. And David Adams for sure. Remember where he started up in 4th, back to 17th. Haven't seen much of him since that first run. Just not the pace in that car. As Dakota DiCienzo and Riley Thompson thought those guys would have better nights too.
Yeah, we'll see. Still have a ways left to go in this race. I'm sure some of these guys towards the back would like to caution to get everyone back on pace. Around half a lap behind the leaders.
Downing gets a good run on Levick, going to go to the bottom. This is for 15th place, and consider that spot exchanged. 4th place still being fought for. AJ Burton, Chris Stouffer still side by side, and Branch and Kraus fighting for 6th.
Yeah, I think they really need these leaders to start fighting each other, and they haven't been, which has not been pretty bad news for the second pack. They've dropped back from being under 3 seconds, back now to 3.4 and counting up.
Closing in on 50 laps to go here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. And looking at the lap times, Finian, they are not running quicker. The leaders are pulling away from them. Blocker, Doyle, and Brophy. And it's going to be a 3-horse race at the front of the field here. But look at all the traffic they have to intermingle with. And Brophy's stuck behind the 52. And Dan Ench is going to have to drop to the bottom. And he's going to lose some time on the front, too. $50 laps to go from Homestead. In the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series, Tim Doyle pops out of line once again down to the bottom for turns 1 and 2. And you're leapfrogging now, Finian. When do you start trying to figure out, you start playing the game of where you want to be on that last lap? Do you want to be in the lead? Do you want to be second? What's your plan? And is it fair to make a plan with 50 laps to go?
No, I think you really have to wait till the end, because, I mean, we still have another set of green flag pit stops to make, so I can change up this order. You could see some guys from the second pack, if they get it hot enough and make them enough time up pit road, they can end up joining these leaders here.
Now, let's not forget, we have another pit stop coming up, as you mentioned earlier, around lap 115, 120, so another whole thing to consider. Look at Blocker pop out of line again, and we've been out on the racetrack now for 18 laps, so about halfway through this run, maybe even a little past it.
Yeah, and I think really after that, then you can start to try to formulate a plan, because more or less that's kind of the group you're going to be running with wherever you get put out of pit road. So I think then you can try to start formulating a game plan around 10 laps and then execute it around 10 laps to go.
And this second group, they're waiting for that pit sequence to kind of give them a new lease on life here. They're not going to catch that lead group racing as they are. So hoping that those front three make a mistake, or at least allow the second group to get a bit of a run on them. It's going to be extremely important.
Yeah, I see that the second group is trying to leapfrog as well, but they've just not been really doing it efficiently enough. In comparison to the leaders, I really think that they also need to count on the leaders battling side by side, which they haven't been.
Kinsella started 22nd tonight, up to 8th. This is a really good first run for him. And again, last season didn't quite have the luck that he needed to really compete for the championship win. But this season, with a top 10 run early, I wouldn't count him out.
Second pack, they're catching up to the lap that group that was going a lap count earlier.
Oh yeah, this is a bit
larger
messy.
Group to deal with. So
yeah, certainly going to get a bit messy here as they start intermingling.
And it's only going to hold them up a lot more as well. So this is not what they needed.
Going to slow them down significantly. There's also cars in front of them running double wide. Burton and Stouffer aim for the white line. Oh, car in the fence up on the high side. It was Caleb Weekly, and might have gotten some damage on the right side pod of that car, but will continue straight. Oh, getting really dicey here, but they lost Actually, they were a little quicker that time because they had the draft leading up to this, but I think the lap where they passed him, which will be this one, will be a little bit off pace. Oh, bit dicey out of turn 4. The 6 of Adam Crane and the 13 almost got together. Let's take a look. Here's a look from up above how close this was. That could have been, that was only about a foot between them at 215 miles an hour.
Actually, all things considered, they actually didn't really lose that a whole lot of time as much as I would have thought.
Yeah, they did that pretty efficiently. I was going to say, I mean, they could have been a lot, I mean, it looked messy, but it was kind of quick, actually, all things considered. Bennett clears the 6 of Adam Crane and puts himself in a better opportunity. Look at Philip Kraus behind him, duking and diving with the lap car. Move his way on into 8th place. Up in front, the leaders have kind of separated out here, Finian. 2/10 between Doyle and Blocker and Brophy. 40 laps to go next time by, and the pit window is very close to opening.
Yeah, I think Brophy looks like he's starting to struggle with his tires on his car. I don't think he's able to stay quite close to the guys up ahead of him here, so I think he just might be giving them some space here until his next pit stop cycle. Yeah,
we are not really seeing a whole lot of fall off, maybe half a second at most, more like 3/10 of a second. Do you think it's worth it to short pit this, or are you going to pit with the leaders?
I think if anything, I would just try to stay out, and if anything, yeah, pit with the leaders, especially the group you're with. Those top 3, on Brophy, especially being in 30s, he's got the advantage of looking at what the guys ahead of him are doing. And if they're going to be cutting on the pit road, he can also join them on that same cycle.
AJ Burton, Joe Branch, Stouffer still all duking for 4th, but Stouffer's kind of gotten the lead of this group, and I was going to say he was going to hang on to it, but AJ Burton dives on the bottom in 1 and 2 and re-clears him for that spot.
Yeah, I think they're still trying to go at it to get back up there, but they're falling 4.7 seconds back. Again, they're still continuing to drop.
All comes down to this last pit stop here, Finn. 28 laps for a lot of the field, 31 for Chris Stouffer. He's been out there longer than most. Actually, he's been out there as long as anybody in the top 15, so I would imagine the 13 would come relatively shortly. Might be the first of this group to pop out of line. No takers thus far.
Yeah, and you're definitely at this point, the pit road's open up. You can make it to the end from here. And as they say, that Tony Shallow looks like he's going to be one of the first takers down on pit lane.
Tense moments again. I mentioned earlier how tricky it is to get onto and off of pit lane. There's an opportunity for a yellow in here as well. So for Blocker, Doyle, and Brophy, no need to really risk it. I would stay out as long as you can. Doyle going to continue fighting. He got back to Blocker. Going to go right for the lead down in turn 1 here. High above Homestead-Miami Speedway. And 35 laps to go next time by. Gone 115 laps with only 1 yellow early for a crash at the exit of turn 4. All the rest of the accidents have been single car incidents. Again, you're watching SimTV. My name's Kyle Heyer and Finian DeCuna. If you have not yet subscribed to our network, you certainly should, because you're going to get to see the other 11 races from the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series, as well as the Outsider Racing League. They'll finish up their championship in the next couple weeks, as well as Washington, D.C. Region SCCA, Grid Life iRacers League, and many, many more. So if you're interested in league racing of any kind, you can join our Discord at the link in the description and join one of the many communities that competes on the SimTV network. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching. Here we go. 33 laps to go next time by, Finian. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, really starting to get down to it. Still have not had more takers of the leaders. A few guys towards the middle and the back of the pack have trickled their way down to pit road. We still get to see a large group go down. I think that's going to be changing here in the next 5 laps.
Surprised we haven't seen more. It looks like Simon Bryant's going to hit pit lane. Well, really close to the edge of the racetrack in turn 4, but a well done entry.
Whoa.
Bit of a lockup,
on the entry.
but very efficient. So he's in.
Stouffer is peeling off.
Yeah, Stouffer. Okay, so this is important because Stouffer needs to gain a whole lot of time on those leaders, and I don't necessarily think he's racing the top 3 yet. I think he's racing everyone else in that group that he just left. So he's going to kind of be in no man's land here if they don't pit shortly, because he's going to kind of have an advantage on them. So where the 13 pops out is going to be incredibly interesting to watch. And Doyle and Blocker are having a hard time getting rid of the 31 of Shawan, who just came to pit lane. And he's got fresh tires and is kind of being a nuisance right now to these front three. And kind of breaking up their battle here.
Yeah, and he's going to have a much better time dealing with them. He's got the fresh tires to kind of counteract the air wash. Here he goes to the inside of Blocker here.
So if I was Brophy,
Doyle's going to take a chance to get the lead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I was Brophy, I see these guys getting held up a little bit. Ooh, Doyle real tight at the exit of 4. I would have just dove on the pit lane right there because they're going to have to fight with some lap cars here as they come through out of the pits. If I was the 88, that would have been my move, but maybe he just wants to stay with these guys and not try to reinvent the wheel with the strategy.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's just his goal right here. Stay with these guys. Worst case scenario, you got a top 3, which is not bad at all. It's a podium.
Podium in race 1, especially at an oval like this where your destiny is not always controlled by you, that's a win for me, especially after Pocono last season, how crazy the first race there was. I would consider this certainly a success. Joe Flanagan hits pit lane in the 53. There's the 00 of David Adams. He's also on pit lane. And Frank Levitt comes on in from the background. Tim Doyle and Adam Blocker, they hit pit lane, and Brophy stays out. That's kind of the opposite of what I thought would happen. So what gives? What's the strategy here for the 88?
I don't know. I guess he's hoping the caution comes out, and he's not going to be caught out by it. We'll see if he's going to make a trip this time by. And nope, he's going to stay out another lap. Interesting call.
Certainly not the one I would have expected, but he stays out for now. Just shy of 25 laps to go here from Homestead. We've had a whole bunch of leaders tonight. We've had 32 lead changes, which is a whole lot considering that it only counts them at the start-finish line, as you alluded to earlier, Finian. So we've been incredibly competitive tonight, and here comes Brophy on the pit lane.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see where he ends out in relation to Doyle and Blocker.
All right, we're just riding on board with the 88. You can see how slippery that was and how gingerly you have to drive into the pit lane. And you see Ray Kingsbury, the 007, all following him in, as well as the 82 of Shannon Caudill. AJ Burton in and out. Philip Kraus is currently the leader of the race, and he was one of the last drivers to pit under the previous stint, so I would expect that to be the same case here. Kind of banking on a yellow flag. All right, so of the drivers that have already come to pit lane, Jason Brophy got out right here. Here comes Tim Doyle and Adam Blocker. And I think Brophy actually might be a little bit better off here. That was a well-done pit sequence, and the 88 has what will be the lead.
Yeah, at the lead, although Tim Doyle is coming up on him in a hurry. So, I mean, he's pretty much going to be back on the pack. Right side is he didn't lose the pack, so he's still going to be in this fight for the lead. And if anything, he's going to have fresher tires, too.
Yeah, just slightly. Oh, gets a little tight, and the 11 swings to the outside. Things got dicey, but the 88 still holding the bottom of the racetrack. Through 3 and 4, this is the battle for what will be the lead as soon as the front two pit. Less than 25 laps to go. It's a 3-car fight at the front of the field.
Yeah, I'm curious if Brophy's just going to try to follow that white line all the way around to the end of this race. We saw it work earlier, and it's still, if you have someone sticking to that white line like glue, it's next to impossible to pass on the outside. Doyle's going to try it. He's going to build up a run on the back straightaway.
Yeah, he's all the way on the bottom of the racetrack, though, so he's going to use up a lot of tire down here as opposed to Doyle and Blocker. So this is a short-term gain, long-term loss, I would think, but so far so good for the 88. Looking 3 wide, Blocker's thinking about it on the high side, but I think he's conserving tire fitting. I think he knows that if you run the high lane, you'll kind of keep some rubber on the Firestones and have a chance later in the race as these other two burn up while they fight each other.
Yeah, I think he's going to be hoping that Brophy's stuff is going to wear out more and more. And, if you're wondering at home why these guys aren't passing below the white line, can't do that in IndyCar. That's off limits. That's the track limit for these guys. So Brophy's trying to make these guys pass on the right side again. I'm questioning, though, how much he can keep it up. He does have clean air ahead of him.
We still have over 20 laps to go. That's a long time to be pulling that. That's over half a run on the tires and the fuel, so I don't know if he'll be able to do it forever, but for now, it'll work. And no challenge from the drivers behind. Christopher is 4.3 seconds back. That is Andrew Kinsella, A.J. Burton, Bennett, Branch, Kingsbury, and Kraus, the rest of your top 10.
It's Trevor actually made up a good amount of time on pit road. He's able to separate completely from that second pack by 2 seconds, but still nowhere close to catching up to the leaders.
That's what I kind of alluded to. He'd end up in kind of no man's land in front of that second pack, but well behind the lead pack. So stuck in fourth for now. 20 laps to go here from Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series, and Tim Doyle still fighting hard on the outside. Got a lot of patience in that 11 cockpit tonight, but I think he's playing a long-run game here, and I think it's going to work out if he keeps doing what he's doing. Laps are ticking down. If we go green to the end, 7 minutes and 45 seconds of racing remaining. Adam Blocker, he's just been watching these guys from a distance and just kind of hanging out here. No rush.
Yeah, I think that being the guy in the guy in third place, I think that's pretty much what you have to do. You're definitely not going to get if you're not getting the lead if you're not in second place. So might as well just sit back. You see him running, just getting out of the aero wash, just keeping care of his tires here till the end where he's really got to use them.
He's got the 82 of Coddle behind him right now. I don't think that 82 is going to be much of a concern. But again, Blocker, I like what he's doing. He's just sitting back as a spectator right now. He'll compete in the race at the end, but for now, these front two are what he's watching, and he's watching them burn up their stuff, using up all their tire that he'll have for the end. How long do you think this 88 can keep doing what he's doing, Finian? 10 laps?
I mean, honestly, with the way he's running, I mean, he might be able to keep this up till the end. Because, again, he is running on the inside, which is going to be burning up his tires, but I think the key thing is that he's not in behind anyone's aero wash, so he's not burning up his tires trying to steer in dirty air. And I think that's probably going to be the thing that saves him here. We'll have to see really towards the end of it, because we have seen the tires get pretty slippery towards the end of a run, but so far, so good.
I guess the other slight concern I would have is that you see the black darkened area of the racetrack where the rubber's laid down. It's not laid down on the bottom of the racetrack, and where the rubber is, the grip is. And there's not any rubber right against that white line where the 88's running, but there is quite a bit in the middle. So you see actually Tim Doyle tuck in behind the 88. That's an interesting move here. Going to swing back to the right, though, on the back straight. Caution! Oh, that changes everything. Oh, it's a big wreck in turn 2, I believe. Or is that 3 and 4? I can't really tell. I think that's 3 and 4.
Nope, it's 2.
It is 2. And it's Andrew Kinsella and AJ Burton. Well, everything we just talked about, you can throw it out the window because we're going to pit again, and it's going to get real different from here. Second caution of the night, this time with some of our front runners. And Kinsella nursing a very hurt 14 back around the rest of the racetrack. Let's take a look at how this all started. And my bet is, oh yeah, 3. Oh, Finian. It was a 3-car incident. And here's another look at it off into turn 1. It's Ray Kingsbury on the bottom of the racetrack. Dives in underneath the 50 of AJ Burton. Maybe clips the apron a little bit, slides up the racetrack, and just drives into the side of the 50. And Kinsella just got taken for a ride there.
Yeah, looking at it, he didn't touch the apron. I think he apexed too early, then tried to correct and wash up the track a little bit into AJ Burton, and then made that contact, and Kinsella had nowhere to go.
Yeah, here's Kinsella again. Wow, he's lucky that he went into the wall floor first, but a violent bounce down the hill. Let's ride on board with the 14. There's just nothing you can do. It happens so fast.
It's not the start of the season Kinsella wanted. It was running 6th at the time of the accident.
And Ray Kingsbury's on board. Second caution of the night, the first multi-car incident that we've seen this evening, and everyone, I would assume, is going to hit pit lane or not. What do you think?
No, it looks like Doyle and Brophy have stayed out. Blocker, meanwhile, has made the trip down to pit road.
All right, so tell me, is that the call you would have made or what? I mean, there's still a lot of racing left.
If I'm Brophy, I would have stayed out. That inside lane strategy, he's been able to keep that car like glued down there. I wouldn't change that. For Doyle, maybe I would pit, but I mean, from the looks of it, looks like a good amount of drivers have stayed out.
Yeah, 9 drivers all the way. Well, Kinsella isn't really going to count because he's still nursing that car around all destroyed. So make that 8 cars that are going to be on older tires, but there's still going to be about 10 laps of racing left. That's a long time, and with Blocker on fresh tires, maybe a drop in air pressure, I would say that the one car is probably going to be a big threat here if we go green to the end. Now, if we get another caution, I'm in Brophy's position all day. I mean, I think that's a great call, but for the one, I'm not mad at his decision. I think it's actually be quite good, and I'd also keep an eye out for Stouffer and Branch, 3 competitive cars, starting 9th, 10th, 11th on the restart, going to be a threat for sure.
Yeah, my only concern is that, I think they might definitely be able to get up into the top 5. I think no question about that. I think the problem is going to be trying to get this lead. I mean, by the time they get up to the leaders, they're going to be running out of laps. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see here if they have enough time to not only get up to the leaders, but then also make that crucial pass for the lead itself.
All right, let's take a look at our race analysis so far. 2 cautions for a total of 7 laps thus far, 34 lead changes. Now, take note, the last time we mentioned the lead changes, we were at 32. That was quite some time ago. So the lead changes have kind of dropped down a little bit, so things got a bit more difficult once the field had spread out. But what ends up happening, Finney, is you get these bunched up restarts, and I think you're a lot better. If you're Jason Brophy, you're a lot better off in a group of 3 cars doing the strategy he was doing earlier on the bottom versus a group of 15 or 20 cars. My concern is I'm not sure that same strategy is going to work with that many cars because of all the draft that's going to be in play. I'm not sure that that's going to work as effectively as it did before. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's going to still be able to do it, whether it's 3 cars or 30 cars. I think everyone's just going to be bunched up in behind him and trying to do everything they can to get to the front. I think they're going to be more concerned fighting each other than the leader. Yeah, because they're all going to be trying to line up for that second place spot. So I don't know. We'll have to see here if Brophy's going to hold on. I'm sure he's going to hope that he can hold on. We'll find out in 10 laps.
So some dark horses here. Ray Kingsbury in 3rd. I don't think he's got a lot of damage on that front wing. Got away with it. Henry Bennett in 4th in the 007. Chad Simpson in 5th. Philip Kraus. There's a lot of cars up here that are capable of winning that are not named Brophy, Doyle, or Blocker. I think things are about to get interesting. Do you think we're done crashing, or do you think we got 1 or 2 more left in us here?
I think we're done crashing. I can't. Yeah, actually.
That's a bold statement. I'm just saying. I don't care who you are. It's 10 laps to go at Homestead in an IndyCar.
I think we got a good shot.
Okay, that's fair.
Of making it to the end green.
I'll give you that.
What a good shot is up to you to decide.
I just wouldn't go out and buy a lottery ticket off that, but here we go. Out of turn 4, it'll be 10 laps to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series on Sim TV. Here we go. Green flag back in the air, and it's a mad scramble behind him.
Yeah, a few guys in the midfield did not get a good start. Christopher already going middle, 3 wide, trying to waste no time at all to get to the front.
Gonna be hectic for sure. Brophy's still got the lead. Doyle swings to the right side. Here comes Kingsbury in behind in 3rd. He's gonna pull what Blocker did and just kind of hang here for a couple laps, I would think. But maybe he'll be aggressive and go for the lead here behind him. Look at Kraus to the bottom of the racetrack underneath Simpson. Mad scramble. Top 5 all. You could throw a blanket over him. 9 laps to go.
Yeah, Brophy still defending the inside. Kingsbury thinking about going middle. 3 wide's not going to do it. Doyle on the outside trying to hold on, but he's not going to be able to.
Look at Stouffer!
Lining up for second.
Let's Stouffer up the middle. 3 wide out of turn 2. Here he comes like a lightning bolt through the field. Where did he come from?
Completely boxed in, though, right behind Kingsbury and Brophy.
That was amazing how he shot out of turn 2 like that. Into second. 4 wide for a moment.
3 wide, 4
oh,
wide
man.
For a moment. Whoa, this is not going to work. Someone's got to give. It's going to be Kingsbury.
Slicing and dicing, 8 to go. Stouffer swings to the right. Tim Doyle almost gave him a bump draft on the back straight. This isn't stock cars, guys, but they're going to try it.
Brophy is going to be lining up with an inside lane. Stouffer doing everything he can. He's got the fresher tires. He's got the advantage, but nowhere to go with it.
Yeah, Bennett was in a real sketchy situation behind him in 5th place. Joe Branch up the middle as well. Getting real tight from 5th on back. For the lead, though, Stouffer trying to use the outside lane, but can't get around Brophy. Doyle fills the hole on the inside.
Blocker also coming up too. He's up into 6th place.
Yeah, Blocker wasn't as quick as I thought he would be. I mean, Stouffer shot out of a cannon at the exit of turn 2 a couple laps ago. I thought that would be Blocker, but he has not been able to make quite as much ground as the 13, but he's going to slide up big time at the exit of turn 2, find some clean air. Tim Doyle swings to the right. So does Stouffer. 3 wide for the lead for a moment, but Stouffer backs out for turn 3. Now going to try to cross over back to the bottom.
Yeah, I think for him it's going to be a matter of building up the run. He tried to open a lane up to the inside, but Brophy's having none of it.
Oh, huge crash in turn 1. A horrible collision and a car stuck in the fence, and it's Adam Blocker. Oh my goodness.
And the champion, the defending champion, is going to end his night in the catch fence, and that is not how he wanted it.
That was a nasty, nasty accident, Finian. That was well over 220 miles an hour, straight up into the fence. And here is a look at how that happened. Man, that was a nasty wreck. So the ones on the outside, on the left-hand side of the screen in the blue car here. And going to go off into turn 1. And he's on the outside. Oh, the inside, Riley Thompson gets together with Ray Kingsbury. And up and through the fence. Man, that was nasty.
I don't know about you, on my screen, I have a massive neck code.
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah. So I guess we'll explain that in a moment, but I did see that. Yeah. Wow. That was about as bad of a wreck as you can get. For sure. Ray Kingsbury spinning. I actually managed to keep it relatively straight after that. Oh, what an impact. Everyone did a great job missing the 25 after that initial contact, but so let's go back and explain the netcode thing to those that aren't totally familiar with the idea. So basically, to race on the internet, you can't, I mean, the speed of light isn't fast enough to transfer everyone's data quick enough. So what iRacing does is it actually has code to predict where cars are going to be a couple hundred milliseconds from now. And it's not always perfectly accurate. And so what ends up happening is when it gets the prediction wrong, you kind of get a ghosting effect where a driver might not look like he hit somebody, but on somebody's screen, he hit him. So unfortunately, it's part of doing business on the internet. And for Kingsbury and for Blocker, it's going to end in disaster tonight. And there goes Kingsbury's motor.
Oh, that's unfortunate because he would have been able to finish in 9th and he only had to pace around for 2.5 more laps. Unfortunately, that engine is not going to have any of it.
Okay, so are we done? I mean, that might be it, Finian. With only 2 laps to go, that could be the race.
Yeah. Pretty sure it should be. We'll see next time by if they do get, if the pace car lights go off, which I highly doubt they will.
No, I don't think that would be likely. I mean, it's possible, but Jason Brophy might be sitting in a perfect spot to pick up a race win here.
And what I tell you,
I mean, look,
I know a caution came out,
yeah.
but you did a pretty good job defending
I
it.
did say that if another caution came out, I would like to be the 88. I do recall saying that. But I think Stouffer, you got to hand it to Stouffer, though, because he restarted right next to Adam Blocker and passed half the field off the exit of turn 2 a few laps ago and put himself in position to win. Going to be a bit short tonight if we don't get a restart. Come across the start-finish line, and the lights don't turn off. That's it. 2 to go. So, again, we're not going to declare anybody a winner because we've always seen what crazy things can happen. Someone can lose connection or something of the sort, so we're not going to declare anything until the race is officially over. But, whew, what a race, Finian.
Yeah, what a race indeed. These guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, only 3 cautions, and, you know, I would argue one of them shouldn't have been a caution.
Yeah, the first one really didn't need to be. But there was enough stuff before then that probably should have been a caution at the exit of 2. But, again, those cars were mostly off the racetrack, so no concerns there. But this is the kind of thing you have to deal with when you have late race restarts. You got cars close together. You got the imperfect internet. We were just discussing before we went live tonight how I was having internet troubles myself. So it's part of the one thing that people got to get out of their minds, though, it's not iRacing's fault that netcode incidents happen. I mean, their prediction code, I think, is quite good. I think it's better than most other racing sims, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't notice when it works.
Right, because it works very well most of the time. But that being said, it's unfortunate that things, I mean, again, on somebody's screen, they hit each other. So you have to keep that in mind as well. But, 3 wide late in the race, it's always going to end in disaster. We want to thank everyone for jumping on board and watching tonight. Make sure you hit the like button and hit that red subscribe button if you haven't so far. We're going to talk to your race winner and others inside the top 5 here shortly, so don't go anywhere. We got also a word from our sponsor to take care of as well before the night is over. So don't leave just yet. Still lots to do this evening. And for Jason Brophy, I mean, this would be an exceptional way to start the season in this 88. I mean, he was really competitive in the Fuel IndyCar Series last season, but to come to the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series, where the competition level is so high, both on the road courses and on the ovals, I mean, this is going to be an incredibly good way to start off the season at a Triple Crown event, Finian. For the 88, this is going to be a big moment.
Yeah, we'll see if he can keep this momentum going. I mean, it's one thing, again, to win just one race. I mean, I definitely think he's got the talent to keep this going. We'll have to see. It's a very competitive field, and I especially think, guys like Christopher, if we had a vote for who was driver of the race, I think it would definitely be Christopher. He's gone from the back to the front multiple times tonight.
We're not out-sponsored by Allstate, but if we had a good hands move of the race, turn 2 with about 5 or 6 to go, that was spectacular. So give him credit for that, but not going to be good enough to get a race win. But for Jason Brophy out of turn 4, 150 laps later, it was a strategy call that will put him in victory lane for the first race of the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series. Jason Brophy wins in Homestead. 14th the first inning, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a solid job tonight. And even just kind of looking through the rest of the order, too. Christopher from 17th to 2nd.
34 lead changes in this race. 138 of our 150 laps were green flag. 3 cautions this evening. And certainly a lot better than the season opener at Pocono last season. That was kind of a bloodbath. But this one, a really competitive race all the way through. An untimely caution at the end, but for drivers like Andrew Wood, Ray Kingsbury, I think Kingsbury ended up getting disqualified at the end of that one, Finney. He actually, I believe it wasn't engine related, but I'm not sure about that. But Adam Blocker, 24th, that's a disappointing end. Andrew Kinsella, lots of disappointments, but for Stouffer, Doyle, Branch, Bennett, a great way to start the season. And for Brophy, celebrations. Do the Polish victory lap around Homestead Speedway. And we're going to talk to him here in a couple minutes. You see the pace car pulling off the racetrack. That was almost a head-on collision there. And he's going to take his trip around the racetrack. Take one last look at our race results. We're also going to jump to break here momentarily. And we'll be back with your race winner and more. Tony Shawan, how about a 7th place result for him? And for pole sitter Chris Kahoo in the 57, ended up inside the top 10 after the chaotic middle portion of the race that he had.
Yeah, that was a good recovery for him. I thought he was going to finish down a lot further, but yeah, all things considered, I'm sure he's probably going to be disappointed because obviously he had the speed, qualified, and pole, but I wasn't able to run mid-pack.
And Polish victory lap is complete. We'll see if he'll do a little burnout for us before we jump to break. And here he goes. Brophy celebrates in Homestead. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Stay with us.
My father's father had 2 brothers and a sister. His older sister, Hazel, had married a man named Jim Junker, and he was involved in the bottling business early on, as early as 1906 in Indianapolis, and he sold flavors. He would have had grape, cream soda, blood orange, ginger ale. In 1915, he got the franchise for Coca-Cola in Indianapolis. So then we fast forward 20 years later to 1935, Jim Junker approached my grandfather and his 2 brothers and said the franchises in Kokomo, Logansport, and Peru are available for sale, and you guys want this. Trust me, you want to get in the Coca-Cola business.
Welcome back live to Sim TV and the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Elite Series. Here now with second place finisher Christopher. Chris, last season you had all sorts of pace, a lot of bad luck, but this season pace and a lot of good luck as well. It needed a little bit more green flag racing towards the end of the race to get it done and get the win, but after that late race surge, after the pit stop up to second place, you got to be pretty thrilled with that first round.
Yeah, I definitely am. There towards the middle of the race, we got those green flag pit stops. I got strung out and I got detached from the leader. So I was just doing everything I could, try to catch up. And then after that last green flag pit stop, I came out and I was just by myself. So there was nothing I could do. Watch the leaders just drive away. But yeah, I've got those late race cautions. I definitely had something for them. I had a plan for the last lap, last turn kind of a thing. But caution came out and sealed it in second, and I'll take second in the first race of the season.
When you look at this season versus last season, Pocono was our first race, kind of a bloodbath there. Tonight, a couple incidents here and there, but mostly, until the end, it was mostly kind of isolated incidents. Are you encouraged by the racing that you saw tonight for the rest of the season?
Oh, for sure. I feel like this is just carried over from our finale at Auto Club last season, where we had one caution. Here we had three, which was really good for the conditions that we had and how close we're all racing against each other, and how much we're all packed up for the most part. So yeah, I think that this group of guys has definitely shown that we can race in about any type of weather out there, including pack races, and still make it clean and make it interesting.
Hey, Chris, nice job tonight. Congratulations on a solid second place finish. Good luck in the next round. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We move on now to our race winner, Jason Brophy in the number 88. We're familiar with Jason from the Fuel IndyCar series. Jason, to start off the season with a race win is huge, especially in a series with so much competition. You started in 14th tonight. You brought it home in victory lane after the tense last couple laps. Your thoughts on tonight and the race win?
I'm pretty much speechless, to be honest. I never in a million years would have guessed that I could pull off a win in my first race. I just wanted to finish, run well. It was a real clean race. Everybody ran real well. I know we had probably 3 or 4 cautions. There were some wrecks that didn't cause cautions, but I would have never guessed in a million years, as I said, that I could have been out front. So speechless.
You think back to the strategy call to stay out late in the run. I mean, what was going through your head there? Did you think tires might be worth something? And were you concerned on the restart that tires might have been a better choice?
I saw Adam came out in 9th. I knew I was as concerned with Tim getting by me with a run on the restart. Staying out on that pit stop, Tony had fresh tires, so I knew I could keep up in draft and practice with people on new tires if I ran, and not lose time. I could keep up with them, so I could basically use their tires to keep towing me around. And so I used Tony there and got a good entry. The car wasn't worse at the end of a run. It was slidier, but I didn't lose much time. So using those tires, getting a clean pit entry, all that, I think the goal was just to try and be in front, because I knew in the last run that, all the working together goes out the window. So
we look ahead 7 days from now. We had a New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a very different racetrack, a 1 mile flat track. Your thoughts on that track? How difficult is it going to be to pass there? Do you think you can go 2 for 2 maybe next week?
I don't think I can go 2 for 2. I got a lot of work to do, especially New Hampshire, not a track I've run a ton in any series, maybe a couple times. So I just want to make the race, do well. I mean, that was kind of my first goal today, was to make the race. And so it was less close than I expected, but still I was concerned that you can catch the apron pretty easy. So make the race, try and run as well as I can, run a clean race. That's mostly what this season's about. I'm not very experienced with setups. I got to give a hand to Liam Quinn. He's given me some advice, especially recently. John Poole, I know he couldn't be here for today's race, but he helped me. We worked on the setup some, kind of trying to do that through this season, I guess. But so, hopefully try to put together a good enough set that I can run well. But my goal for most of these races is going to be finish the best I can, but clean.
All right, Jason. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy it, buddy. We'll see you next week in New Hampshire. Soak it up, and we'll see you next time out. It'll be 7 days from now. Good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And as far as I know, I think that's all we have this evening. So the top two, Christopher and Jason Brophy, here to talk. But the other drivers, Vinny, and kind of debriefing and heading off to next week at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That's going to be an interesting one. Watching Indy cars at a flat track, not something I've seen before, except for the Milwaukee Mile in the Fuel IndyCar Series a few seasons ago. Your thoughts on this race and heading into next week?
Yeah, this is a fantastic job by everyone involved. I mean, to have 33 of these guys only cause 3 cautions. Again, one of them I don't barely count, so really 2 cautions. It was a really, really solid job, and they put on a fantastic show. I'm looking forward to next week.
Want to thank our sponsors, Triptacular Memories, for sponsoring this Triple Crown event. Remember, they take care of all your Disney vacation planning needs, and certainly you're going to want to head there soon because it's getting cold outside, and we're not really having much of a winter in Rochester right now, but I guarantee you in a couple weeks it's going to hit us hard and hit us hard again. So check out Triptacular Memories on Facebook. Links are in the video description, and we want to thank Coca-Cola of Kokomo for sponsoring the season-long effort here. So make sure you visit their Facebook page. You can watch the race replay on their Facebook page as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and have a great night. We'll see you next week on Sunday night for the next round from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm Kyle Heyer with Finny and DeCuna from Sim TV. We'll see you next week.